More than 800 people in Wales died from liver disease in the last 5 years, an increase of almost 20%. The number of deaths related to alcohol has stabilised after significant rises in the last decade, according to the Welsh Government report. We spoke to Alcohol Concerned Cymru about the rise.
Liver disease is complicated, but certainly around a third of the cases we think are related to heavy drinking, and I think a lot of people are actually aware of the links between alcohol and liver disease. What perhaps they're not so aware of is the links to many other disease conditions directly related to alcohol. For example, many women still don't know the risks between alcohol and breast cancer. So liver disease is only part of the story, that actually there are over 60 disease conditions related to alcohol, and we need to get that message out there. 2 out of 5 adults in Wales, for example, regularly drink above the recommended low-risk guidelines. Liver disease deaths are on the rise, and a significant contributor to that will be heavy drinking. And even though the alcohol-related deaths figures have stabilised, they're still much higher than they were, for example, at the turn of the century. So there's certainly no time for complacency.
The government's annual statement of progress for liver disease found that 40% of adults reported drinking above the guidelines on at least 1 day a week. The Living Room Cardiff is an organisation set up to help combat alcohol abuse.
Most of our one-to-one work really focuses on the underlying issues of why that person chooses to drink. Because when somebody's drinking, essentially they're just trying to change something about themselves, fill a void, feel that wholeness that everybody's looking for, that connection. And most of our work is really focused around how do we find that wholeness, that connection, that feeling of oneness in the recovery without engaging in drinking. A network or a connection, a pathway to recovery that involves lots of different agencies. So things like clinicians and those consultants in acute medical environment, and then there needs to be funding for charities and third sector workers so that we can then provide long-term support for those people who struggle with alcohol abuse, substance abuse, overeating, eating disorders, and I think that's probably what needs to happen, is that there's more funding for those extra support projects outside of what is already a really stressed NHS.
With 1 in 3 alcohol-related diseases accounting for a third of liver disease deaths, it's unclear as to how the government will tackle the issue that is affecting so many in Wales. Dan Jardine, Made in Cardiff TV.